You're watching Training Camp with Adam Marburger, exclusively on CBT News.
Welcome to Training Camp, exclusively on CBT News. I am your host, Adam Marburger. I am a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm a black belt in F&I. This show's designed to help automotive professionals enhance their F&I operations to ultimately achieve their rank of black belt as well. So thank you for tuning in. Today, I have a special show. This is a special segment. I've got my better half here with me. I've got my partner at Ascent Dealer Services, Mr. Paul Brown. He's the head of our training and development division. Paul, you're responsible for working with thousands of F&I people. You work with a lot more on the ground than I do, so you have the honor and privilege to be in stores, all over the nation. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is we talk about the psychology on why do customers say yes to F&I products? Why do they say no to F&I products? If we could just kick this off, because we're going to rattle off 15 to 20 minutes of some high-level F&I. That's why you're here today. So let's start there. Why do customers say yes? Why do they say no?
What I find a lot of times is sometimes customers say yes and no simply because of the things that we do. Sometimes we do the wrong thing. I mean, there's a few things that we need to do to treat the customer well, give them a great experience so that they want to buy the F&I products, which they do. Nobody wants to be unprotected, right? Nobody wants to be at risk. They just don't want to be sold anything. And there's a few things that we need to do. We need to make them feel so welcome, like they're a guest in our home, treat them well. We got to ask a lot of questions about what their previous ownership experiences have been and what they want their current ownership experience to look like. And then once we ask those questions, here's the biggest trick. We got to actually listen to what they say and understand what they say and not be on our agenda and let them voice what it is, what their concerns are, because they'll tell us. But it's also about asking the exact right questions at the exact right time. Sometimes I see finance managers that ask the right question or they have the right conversation, but they have it at the wrong time. And it can actually create additional objections that might not have been there before. So it's about understanding how to plant seeds. It's about understanding sales psychology and knowing what the customer wants. I mean, we know what customers want, right? They want to have fun. They want to enjoy this experience. They want it to be nice, and they don't want to be at risk. But more than anything, what they don't want to ever do is leave and go, oh my gosh, I just made a mistake. That's what they're trying to, when they tell us no, that's why they're telling us no. They're saying, I'm afraid of making a mistake right now, so I'm going to say no, because sometimes no action to them equals a good choice. And we know that simply isn't the case.
Yeah. So we talk about objections, and, I had the ability to work with you. I worked in a very large dealer group with you 15 years ago. I got to watch how you did things. We helped each other, and we would always talk about, there's only really a few objections, right? So there's a handful. What are the real? So in 2025, I want my F&I people to hear this. What are the real objections that are real today? What are the objections?
I think they really boil down to really three categories that I have. I think there's a lot. I think customers say a lot of things, but I think most of them aren't real objections. And I think that they boil down to three things, in my opinion. Boils down to some sort of monetary objection, right? Payment is too high, price is too high. I bought one before, never used it, felt like I wasted my money. Bought one before, it didn't cover anything, felt like I wasted my money. I think those are the majority of them. That's the lion's share of what we get. Then the next ones that are the next biggest segment are, I have great faith in this product, right? I'm buying a Toyota, a Subaru, a Chevy. I'm an avid fan. I've had 6, never had a problem, right? We get that. And then the last are what I kind of call the delusionals at some level. It's the I gotta guys, right? I got somebody that can fix this. I got somebody that can do this. I know somebody that's handy. But what really happens when we boil all that down to the essence, and this is something that you and I worked on for a long time, when we boiled it down to its essence, really when a customer is telling us no, the objection doesn't matter. It doesn't. Because what they're telling us when they say no is they're saying, I'll pay as I go. That's all they're saying. They're saying, I'm going to say no to the coverage, so if I experience any type of failure or if I experience any type of issue with my vehicle, I'll simply pay as I go. And that's what they're truly telling us. So now if we can boil it down to that, we have a great transition statement that allows us to tackle that and get the customer to tell us that that's what they're going to do, and then does the most important thing that we can do in F&I, which is we get through it and then get the customer to give us permission to close, to have a closing conversation, to give them some information that we're well versed in so that now they can go, okay, I feel comfortable purchasing these products because I'm making a decision. But when a customer tells us, I'll just pay as I go, they're just saying they're going to roll the dice. And I don't know what that looks like. Maybe they roll 7s and 11s all the time. Maybe they're like me and life throws them snake eyes sometimes. That happens to all of us. So we just got to kind of get them out of their own way and say, hey, paying as you go is not the right way to do it. We have better options.
So I travel a lot and you travel more than I do. And so you're in a lot of different stores. And what is the kind of common theme where the F&I department, where are we falling short as an industry? What areas, where are we skipping the most steps? What if you were to point something out that's like a common mistake that's easy to fix, what is that?
I think a common mistake that we have is not getting involved in the transaction early enough. I just don't see finance managers moving around as much as I would like them to. My opinion is that if you're not working on submitting a deal, you're not actively working on a CIT, trying to get something funded, or doing something that is customer focused, be up moving around, because you can do a lot of things. You can figure out what the heck is going on in your store. You can see how your salespeople are negotiating deals. You can see how deals are penciled if you're at the desk. But if there's not anything going on, you could actually be sitting and coaching your sales associates. You could be sitting and pouring into them and growing them so that they do the thing that we want them to do the most, which is sell more cars so we get more opportunities, right? It's a selfish but unselfish thing to do. And what I don't see is a lot of that. I see finance managers tend to kind of grow roots to their chair. They wait for somebody to bring them a deal, and then they kind of go to work. The other thing that I think that really prevents us from doing really well is just simply fear. Right? Finance managers at some level have fear. That's why they go, a lease deal. A cash deal. I don't want that. They don't want that because they feel inadequate to handle that customer. And the reason that we feel inadequate is we're not doing anything on our own time to grow ourselves and grow our skill sets so we can have better conversations with the customer. I know finance managers that relish a cash deal. They're like, bring it, right? Because they know how to do it, and they run 70% service contract penetration on their cash deals because those customers need the coverage too. Just because they're paying cash doesn't mean that the perfect car fairy blessed their cars that came off the assembly line and now it's not going to have problems. They still need the products, but we feel inadequate in doing that. And that's all that fear is at some level with everything. If we're afraid of something, it's that we feel inadequate to handle that situation. So what we got to do is really get uncomfortable and be comfortable being uncomfortable so that we can grow and take those deals, right? You want to get better at cash deals? Take every cash deal that comes through your store, and in 60 days, you'll be a ninja.
Absolutely. And on the cash deals, let me piggyback off that. You don't skip the process. I don't care if it's freaking close or you want to go to lunch. It's a cash deal. You don't skip the process. You gotta complete. So let me ask you this: you're a former dealer, so you know what it's like. Not just training on the masses, but on the store level. I think you can tell me if I'm wrong. I've been wrong once. That I think that the desk is the biggest functionality of F&I profit. I think the desk is truly the architect, and I feel that the F&I department is the finished carpenter. So how do you bridge the gap between these two departments? If you're going into a store and these two departments are kind of like lukewarm and you want to get them warm, what best recommendations do you have for a dealer that wants to bring the sales and F&I teams closer together to work as one?
The simplest way to do that is everybody benefits from a well-versed and well-rounded F&I department that's doing good PVR, right? Everybody benefits from that. But the finance department specifically does, and it needs to be the finance department. And I'm finance manager at heart. You say all the time you're a recovering finance manager, right? So we understand the things that we're saying, but the finance manager has to extend that olive branch. They have to go out and they have to be servant leading, and they have to actually go out of their way to help the desk. And if that means going and sitting on the desk and helping them structure deals, if that means going out and saying, hey, let me grab this deal and submit it for you, if that means, hey, you're getting close on this deal, we're starting to get into rate conversations or extending terms, let me go do a finance TO right now while we still have profit made on this deal and just get involved early. That's the biggest thing. They just gotta they gotta be unselfish, and they gotta go out and they gotta extend that olive branch to them and just say, here, I'm here to serve you. And again, if we look at it holistically, if you're out serving them, you're serving yourself, because you're just helping them close more deals. You're getting more swings for you. But it also starts back before the desk, right? Before the desk starts. We all know that a strong desk can definitely help F&I, because they structure their deals and they get into conversations that are beneficial to F&I. We're still going to do everything legal and compliant and be completely transparent, but there's ways that we can do it that are more beneficial. But also it goes a step before that with, what are we doing with those grassroots salespeople? Right? What are their skill sets? What do they know? What conversations do they know to have and engage in? What conversations do they know to avoid and go, I need to get a professional involved here? And those are the people that we really need to grow, because teaching a desk manager kind of a little bit about structure and stuff like that and just being involved, that'll close that gap really quickly. But we all know that salespeople will work the desk harder than the customer, and salespeople will sometimes come up and tell the desk, hey, the customer said this, this, and this. And as finance professionals, when we start asking questions and having conversations, we find out, oh, that's not the way this deal went down. So it's getting involved with them too, so that they can actually bring good answers and good information to the desk, so that the desk actually knows what the structure should be, and we don't get any surprises later.
I love that. You don't hear a lot of people, and even from an F&I side, let's work more with salespeople and train salespeople. What does that look like, Paul? Like, how often should the F&I professional get the sales team together? I mean, should it just be the Saturday morning meeting for 10 minutes, or should we be doing one-on-one? Should we be doing small groups? What does that kind of look like?
They should definitely have meetings, and they should host meetings, right? The sales managers and the GM and the GSM shouldn't be the only people giving meetings. They're the dealer principal. They should be hosting meetings that have to do with not just F&I, but also just helping them grow. But outside of that, that's the small end of what they should be doing. Outside of that, they should be spending every minute of every day that they're not actively working on a car deal, growing those folks. I mean, when they walk out and just say, hey, let me ask you a question. Present numbers to me, and let's just kind of see what that looks like. Let me see if I can help you somewhere, and help them with negotiation, help them with things like trade appraisals, help them on doing things that allow them to make more gross profit. Sit down with your sales associates and say, hey, did you have any deals that you were kind of close on this week that we just didn't get over the hump? Let's call those customers. I'm going to do some manager callbacks for you. Let's see if we could get some people back in and re-engage some people in conversation. If you're just out there doing those things and being active, a couple things will happen. One, your day's going to fly by. Your day's going to go by so fast. But more than that, you start to build these kind of acolytes that will walk through a wall of fire for you, because they look at this finance manager and they go, that Adam Marburger is out here every day trying to help me, or I see them trying to help other people. So when he asks me to do this, I'm going to do that. When he asks me not to do this and not to say that, I'm not going to do that, because they don't want to disappoint you, because now you've become a mentor to them. And what we need to do is we need to be out there mentoring these sales associates. I don't care if they've been there 3 weeks or 30 years. Mentor them, love on them, pour into them. And what you'll find is now they just start to follow you like the Pied Piper, and they go, hey, Adam, what should I do on this deal? I got a tough customer. They're kind of talking about this. What do you want me to do? And we can either load their lips or just go get involved. But the thing I want more than anything is just for them to be hand raisers and say, hey, at this point, I need some help so I don't do the wrong thing.
Yeah, I love it, man. You've got some passion in you today, brother. You're definitely on your A game. Hey, I want to sound off with this. What best advice would you give an F&I professional right now that's kind of in a plateau, kind of stuck? What is some of your best advice you could give an F&I person that's just kind of stuck right now?
Yeah, if you're stuck right now, just get out of your own way. right? It's easy to do that. It's easy to get into these plateaus, and it's easy to get into these tough months. I just had a finance manager I was talking to the other day. They said, it was about a week ago, they said, I'm having a really tough month, and I just don't know if I'm going to be able to pull out. I'm not going to get my PVR where it needs to be. And I go, that's negative, 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 negative. What I want you to do is I want you to start a new spreadsheet right now for your numbers and act like everything up to the 16th hasn't happened. And let's start our month fresh today and just see what we can do with the month going forward. Let's see if we could just knock this 2-week month out of the park, because the things that have happened right now, you can't change them, right? You're where you're at. We need to change our mindset so that we look at each deal at each day as a fresh new opportunity and go, here, that this first half of the month that's kind of been an anchor and is dragging me down, I'm going to cut it loose. And I'm just going to start from today and see what I can do with the rest of the month. And you could do that even if it's today and you got 2 days left in the month. You could go, what can I do with these 2 days, right? Because the first 26 at some level don't matter. They matter because we want to learn from them, grow from them, but you can't change that right now. And the other thing that I would say to do is, like you see behind me, read and do something to actively grow yourself in just different areas. I mean, if you go look at like some of these motivational speakers and some of these people that write books about sales psychology and stuff like that, just learn, take 30 minutes every day to just pour into yourself, because you can't pour into others if your cup is empty. So you got to pour into yourself. You have to take time for personal growth so that you can start your day with just a fire in your belly that nobody can put out. Yep. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, we can change our own mindset, but it has to be something we actively do in the beginning of our day.
I love it. I love it. And I want to congratulate you too on recently receiving your purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And as a black belt in Jiu-Jitsu, I can have a high level of respect. That purple belt is it's the first professional belt, brother. So I'm proud of you. Thank you for stopping in. This was very impactful and insightful. Thank you for taking the time, Paul. I know you're very busy today. God bless you, brother. I'll talk to you sooner than later.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Thank you for tuning into Training Camp exclusively on CBT News. Remember this, if nothing changes, nothing changes. We must take action in our stores. We must be willing to invest in training that never ends. Remember this, fights are not won in the ring. They're won in training camp.
Thanks for watching Training Camp with Adam Marburger, exclusively on CBT News.